Hey, chosen ones, take a deep breath. Right now, you're here for a reason. You've felt it, haven't you? That feeling that you're just different, like you're not meant to fit into the neat little boxes the world has built. Maybe you've always felt a pull towards something more, a whisper in your soul that says there's a bigger purpose for you. Well, let me tell you something, you're not wrong. That feeling, it's your truth trying to get your attention. Let's get real for a second. Have you ever felt like you're under constant attack? Like every time you try to step into your light, something or someone tries to knock you down. It could be a family member who just doesn't get it, a friend who suddenly becomes jealous of your success, or even just a persistent feeling of doubt and anxiety that seems to come out of nowhere. It's like the moment you decide to align with your highest self, the universe decides to test you. And you're probably thinking, why me? What did I do to deserve all this resistance? Chosen ones, listen closely. This isn't just a coincidence. It's not a punishment. It's proof. Proof that you are a spiritual powerhouse, a force to be reckoned with. You, my friend, are one of the most dangerous existences on this planet. And that's not a threat. It's a divine truth. The moment you were born, you became a living, breathing threat to the darkness of this world. Your very existence shakes the foundations of everything they have built to keep humanity in a slumber. Why? Because you carry a light that cannot be dimmed. You are a truth seeker, a system breaker, and a light bearer. Think of it like this. Imagine a beautiful ancient forest. Now imagine one tiny seed that has the genetic blueprint to grow into a majestic, towering oak tree. That seed is a threat to the weeds and thorns that have taken over the forest floor. They'll do everything they can to stop that seed from sprouting. They'll try to smother it, shade it, and choke it out. That's exactly what's been happening to you. From the moment you took your first breath, the powers of this world knew your potential. They saw the divine blueprint in you, the ability to grow into something so magnificent that you would change the entire landscape around you. And they've been trying to stop you ever since. Now, I know that sounds intense, maybe a little dramatic, but stick with me here because this isn't about fear. It's about empowerment. It's about understanding your power so you can finally step into it without apology. We're going to dive into 7 reasons why you are so dangerous and why they've been after you since birth. If you're ready to stop just surviving and start thriving, if you're ready to awaken to the spiritual warrior you were born to be, then you need to watch this video all the way to the end. Your spiritual journey is depending on it. Let's go. Point 1, your spiritual DNA. Chosen ones, you don't just wake up in the morning and exist like everyone else. You radiate on a frequency that most can't even tune into. You weren't placed here by accident. You came into this world with what I call spiritual DNA. It's like a divine barcode imprinted on your soul, a cosmic fingerprint no one else has. It's not just about having a purpose, it's about carrying an assignment. You have an internal compass, a spiritual GPS that keeps recalculating routes every time life tries to push you off course, while most are content to cruise along the well-paved highways of societal expectation. You find yourself drawn to the hidden trails, the narrow roads, and the uncharted maps only your soul can read. That's because deep down you know the wide road might be comfortable, but it rarely leads to destiny. And that's where the danger begins. You can't be easily programmed. The world has a system, call it the matrix, the hive mind, or the collective script, designed to keep people predictable, controllable, and dependent. But you were born with a firewall in your spirit. That's why you've always struggled to just go with the flow. While others line up obediently to accept whatever narrative they're handed, you're the one stepping out of the queue asking, wait a minute, who wrote this script and why am I supposed to follow it? That question alone makes you a problem to the system. This is why from childhood you may have been labeled as too much, too intense, or too sensitive. They weren't describing flaws, they were describing overflow. What they sensed was your power, and let's be real, they weren't equipped to handle it. Imagine trying to contain an active volcano in a coffee cup. That's what the world has been trying to do to you your entire life. They want you quieter, smaller, and more agreeable because the more you awaken, the less control they have. You've also probably noticed that life hasn't let you blend in for long, even in seasons when you tried to dim your light to avoid attention. Situations kept dragging you back into visibility. That's because purpose doesn't negotiate, it insists. And when you're wired with higher awareness, you see things others can't. You notice patterns, energy shifts, and unspoken intentions. You can walk into a room and feel the atmosphere change, pick up on dishonesty without a single word spoken, and sense when something or someone is out of alignment. Science might call this heightened intuition or hypersensitivity. Spiritually, it's a gift of discernment, a built-in warning system to keep you on mission. Of course, this awareness comes at a price. Seeing the truth means you can't unsee it. You'll catch the subtle manipulations in politics, in media, and in relationships. You'll recognize how society is engineered to distract people from their divine nature, turning them into consumers instead of creators. And while others might laugh it off or shrug, you feel it deeply because you're not just looking at the surface. You're reading the code underneath. The irony is, people often misunderstand you before they admire you. At first, they think you're rebellious for questioning authority, stubborn for refusing to conform, or arrogant for knowing your worth. But what they don't realize is that you're not resisting for the sake of resistance. You're preserving the integrity of your calling. You know that if you hand over your mind, you've already surrendered your future. So when they call you different, wear it like a crown. You were never meant to be a carbon copy. You carry a rare blueprint, a unique frequency, and a divine assignment that doesn't fit into mass production. And while that path can feel lonely, it's also powerful because those who walk it change the world, not by blending in, but by daring to stand out. The Matrix doesn't stand a chance against a chosen one who knows exactly who they are and refuses to be reprogrammed. Point 2. Your empathy is your superpower. You're not just a feeler, you are an emotional lighthouse, radiating light in the darkest of storms. You don't just notice the moods of others, you absorb them like a living sponge of human experience. The joy in a stranger's laugh can lift you higher than the clouds, and the sorrow in a friend's tear can weigh on your heart for days. Yes, it's overwhelming at times, and maybe you've wondered why you feel everything so deeply, why you can't just turn it off like others seem to. But here's the truth. This isn't a flaw in your design. This is your spiritual weapon, handcrafted by God Himself. Your empathy is more than sensitivity. It's a divine antenna that tunes into the unspoken, the unseen, and the forgotten. It's the bridge between hearts in a world that's been taught to build walls. Throughout history, those with heightened empathy have been agents of change, healers, prophets, and truth-tellers. They move through the world with a rare kind of vision. They don't just see people, they see into people. They notice the pain behind the smile, the exhaustion behind the bravado, and the quiet hope hiding in the shadows of despair. Science even backs this up. Neuroscientists have studied mirror neurons in the brain, which fire when we observe someone else's emotions or actions, making us feel a version of what they feel. Most people have them, but in you, they're turned up to a level that can't be taught or trained. That's why you sometimes feel drained after being around certain people. You've been carrying their emotional weight without even realizing it. This is where the double-edged nature of your gift comes in. Systems of control, whether they're political, corporate, cultural, or even spiritual in appearance, thrive on division, apathy, and disconnection. They want people cold, distracted, and focused only on themselves because disconnected people are easier to manipulate. But you, with your empathy, are dangerous to those systems. You dissolve their walls. You restore the human connection they've been working so hard to sever. Your very existence, your ability to care beyond yourself, disrupts their machinery of indifference. When you sit with someone's pain without rushing to change the subject, you're resisting the culture of emotional avoidance. When you choose to forgive instead of fueling cycles of vengeance, you're breaking the pattern they profit from. When you see the humanity in someone who the world has written off, you're declaring, without words, that love is still more powerful than fear. That is spiritual warfare. Every act of compassion is a sword swung in the unseen battle for human souls. And don't let anyone convince you that your empathy is a weakness. Weakness bends under pressure. Empathy stands in the storm and says, I will not shut my heart. Weakness avoids the wounded because it can't handle the discomfort. Empathy leans in, offering a hand, a prayer, a piece of itself. That takes more strength than cynicism will ever understand. Cynicism builds walls, empathy builds bridges, and every bridge you build is a road the enemy can't tear down. Yes, there will be times you feel exhausted when the weight of the world feels too heavy to bear. That's when you must remember to guard your spirit. Empathy without boundaries will burn you out. But empathy with wisdom, that's unshakable power. That's when you become the lighthouse that not only guides others, but also keeps its own flame alive through the fiercest winds. So, chosen one, carry this truth with you. Your empathy isn't just a personality trait, it's a divine assignment. It's God's way of placing healing in human form. And in a world that profits from people forgetting how to care, you are living proof that love still wins. You are not just a feeler. You are a warrior of compassion. You are a bridge in a world full of walls, and that, my friend, is exactly why you were chosen. Point 3, you see beyond the veil. Chosen ones, you've probably noticed by now, you don't just move through life like everyone else. You're walking in two worlds at once. One is the physical reality everyone sees, the other is the unseen realm most people ignore. For you, the spiritual isn't some abstract theory, it's as real as the ground under your feet. You catch whispers others miss. You feel energy before words are spoken. You have those gut feelings that don't just seem right, they are right. Prophetic dreams, sudden flashes of insight, random knowings that later prove true. This is your spiritual wiring. Your intuition isn't average, it's on overdrive. It's the divine hotline, and your soul is on speed dial with heaven. This is both a gift and a responsibility. Spiritually speaking, your perception is like having night vision in a world full of people stumbling in the dark. You don't just hear what people say, you pick up the silent message beneath their words. You don't just see the headline of a situation. You read the fine print of the spirit behind it. That's why it's almost impossible to sell you a lie and wrap it in the pretty packaging of a blessing. You have what's called discernment, the ability to separate truth from almost truth. In biblical terms, this is like Solomon's wisdom meeting the prophet's vision. It's rare, it's powerful, and it makes you untouchable in ways that frustrate those who thrive on deception. The danger for those who operate in darkness is that they can't manipulate you the way they manipulate others. And when people can't control you, they often try to discredit you. This is why you've likely experienced betrayals that cut deep and misunderstandings that made no sense. You've seen the mask before anyone else noticed it was there. You felt the shift in energy before the storm even arrived. To some, this makes you difficult or paranoid, but in truth, you're simply awake. Spiritually speaking, we live in what's often called the age of deception. From media to politics to personal relationships, illusions are carefully crafted to distract, seduce, and blind. But chosen ones, you are designed to pierce through that. The Bible says in 1 John 4:1, "Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God." That's exactly what your soul does automatically. It tests, it weighs, and it discerns. Of course, this gift comes with challenges. Seeing the truth means you can't always enjoy the bliss of ignorance. While others laugh and nod along, you're feeling the undercurrent, the heaviness, the falsehood, the spiritual danger. Sometimes it's exhausting because it isolates you. People accuse you of overthinking or being suspicious, but deep down, you know you're just aligned with a deeper frequency. The darkness fears you because you can't be fooled into serving it. You're the one who spots the snake in the grass before anyone else hears the rustle. You're the one who knows the smile is fake before the knife appears. And here's the thing. This isn't paranoia. It's prophecy in motion. The same spirit that warned Joseph in dreams, that gave Daniel visions, that whispered to Elijah in a still small voice. That spirit is alive in you. So yes, chosen one, you've been marked, set apart and trained to see beyond the veil. It's not an accident you feel things before they happen. It's not a coincidence your inner alarm goes off when someone's words and spirit don't match. You were made for such a time as this, to stand as a watchman in a world asleep, to carry truth in a time when lies are fashionable, and to walk in light when shadows stretch long. The darkness can't stand a soul like yours, because you are proof that truth still walks the earth and it's not for sale. Point 4, your love is an unstoppable force. You are a love bearer. Not just a romantic dreamer or someone who hands out compliments like candy, but a living, breathing vessel of something far greater. Your love is not limited to candlelit dinners or poetic words whispered in the dark. It's a divine, unconditional force that radiates from your very essence. A current of energy so pure it can change the atmosphere of a room the moment you walk in. You carry within you an unshakable desire to help, to heal, and to lift others higher than they ever believed they could go. This isn't weakness, it's not naivety, it's spiritual power, an energy that, when fully embraced, becomes a force capable of bending reality itself. The love you carry is creative energy in its most raw form. It's the same force that turns seeds into forests, pain into wisdom, and hopeless situations into miracles. And that, chosen one, is exactly why you're a threat, not to good people, not the truth, but to the forces that profit from division. The ones who feed on fear, hatred, and scarcity. They thrive in shadows where people forget their worth, forget their connection to one another, and forget their connection to God. Your love disrupts all of that. It's like shining a spotlight in a room full of cockroaches. They scatter because the darkness is their safe place, and you've just turned on the lights. When you walk into a situation with love in your heart and conviction in your spirit, you don't just speak hope. You dismantle fear's entire infrastructure. You rob hatred of its oxygen. You expose scarcity for the illusion it is. People often misunderstand love. They think it's soft, passive, or submissive. But the love you carry is nothing like that. This love is a sword wrapped in velvet. It's the courage to show kindness when cruelty is easier. It's the strength to stand in the storm and refuse to mirror the chaos. It's the boldness to forgive, not because the other person deserves it, but because you refuse to let bitterness poison your soul. Lao Tzu once said, "Being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage." But here's the thing. When you are the one doing the loving, your courage multiplies in ways most people will never understand. You've tapped into something infinite, and the infinite cannot be intimidated. History has shown us that some of the most powerful revolutions didn't start with armies or weapons, but with people who chose to lead with love. Martin Luther King Jr. faced down hatred with non-violence. Mother Teresa entered the poorest, most broken corners of the world with nothing but compassion and transformed lives. These weren't just nice people, they were warriors wielding the most dangerous weapon against darkness. A love that could not be bought, broken, or bribed, and that's what you carry. That's why you feel different. That's why the world reacts to you the way it does. Sometimes with awe, sometimes with resistance. Your love is not only for the people you care about. It's for the stranger on the street, for the friend who betrayed you, and for the soul who feels forgotten. This doesn't mean you allow people to take advantage of you. Real love knows how to set boundaries. In fact, the boundaries you set are an act of love themselves, because they protect your energy so it can keep flowing into the right places. You're not here to drain yourself dry. You're here to pour into the world with intention, power, and wisdom. So when you feel weary from carrying this love, remember, it's not just an emotion you're sharing. It's a cosmic force flowing through you, breaking chains you can't even see, rewriting stories you don't even know, and touching lives you may never meet. The forces of division don't fear your words, your style, or even your achievements. They fear your heart, because a heart filled with divine love can't be controlled. And chosen one, that's why you'll always be a problem for darkness and a blessing for the light. Point 5, your resilience is unbreakable. Chosen ones, let's be real. Life didn't just toss you a storm or two, it practically handed you a lifetime membership to the extended stay hurricane package. Yet here you are, standing taller, stronger, and wiser. While most people pray for calm seas, you learn to navigate through towering waves with nothing but grit, faith, and relentless willpower. And let's be clear, that wasn't an accident. Every sleepless night spent replaying betrayal, every moment when self-doubt whispered in your ear, every time you swallowed your pain just to keep moving, these weren't meaningless struggles. They were part of a divine curriculum. God wasn't punishing you, He was preparing you. You weren't simply surviving hardship, you were enrolled in a spiritual boot camp, the kind that produces warriors, not worriers. It's the same principle athletes train under. Resistance builds strength. Without the weight, the muscle never grows. Without the fire, gold never refines. Here's where it gets fascinating. What others saw as your breaking point was actually the forge of your making. Imagine blacksmithing. A sword doesn't start out strong. The raw steel is first subjected to intense heat in a blazing furnace, then hammered again and again. This constant heating and pounding realigns its molecular structure, making it sharper, harder, and nearly impossible to break. That's you. Your furnace was betrayal. Your hammer was disappointment. Each trial didn't just dent you, it refined you. Each setback didn't just push you back. It shaped your faith into something unshakable. This isn't poetic exaggeration. It's a physical metaphor for resilience. In metallurgy, the process of tempering actually strengthens steel by controlled exposure to heat and pressure, just as your soul has been tempered by life's trials. And here's why some people are deeply unsettled by your presence. They already threw everything they had at you, and you didn't fall. They lied to others about you, hoping to tarnish your name. They manipulated situations to ignite your insecurities. They excluded you, mocked you, and even tried to make you question God himself. But instead of collapsing, you transformed into the kind of person who can stand in the middle of chaos and radiate peace. That's not normal power, it's rare power, and rare power makes people uneasy because it reminds them of what they lack: endurance, inner stability, and faith that refuses to waver. Interestingly, psychology has a term for what you've been through. Unlike simple recovery, this is a measurable, scientifically recognized phenomenon where trauma doesn't just heal you, it elevates you. Neurological studies show that after enduring severe hardship, the brain can rewire itself to create deeper empathy, sharpen problem-solving skills, and strengthen emotional regulation. Think about that. While others might crumble under stress, your mind has adapted to remain steady in it. It's like a tree whose roots stretch deep into underground rivers. No matter how fierce the wind, it stays upright because it's anchored in something deeper than the surface. You're not bitter, you're better. You're not colder, you're simply more discerning. That wisdom you carry is now your armor, and it doesn't clank or shine. It's silent, invisible, yet undeniably felt. This is why you don't need to announce yourself when you walk into a room. People feel your presence. It's not arrogance, it's resonance. There's a quiet authority in you that can't be faked because it's born from lived experience. You carry the weight of battles fought in silence, victories nobody witnessed, and a faith that endured when everything else crumbled. People notice. Some admire it, some are inspired by it, and others, well, they're intimidated by it because they know they couldn't have survived what you have. They see in you a living contradiction, someone who's been through the fire but doesn't smell like smoke. And the truth is, they can't stop you anymore because you've realized they never could. Your greatest battles were never with them anyway. They were with your own fears, doubts, and wounds, and you've conquered those. Like tempered steel, you are both strong and flexible, able to withstand pressure without breaking. Your past didn't bury you, it planted you, and now you stand rooted, unshakable, and radiant, living proof that the fiercest storms don't destroy the chosen, they reveal them. Point 6. You are a catalyst for change. You don't just enter a room, you arrive like a shift in the atmosphere, the way a sudden weather front sweeps through and changes everything. The air feels different, conversations falter for the briefest moment, and although no one can quite articulate why, they all sense something has shifted. This is not accidental. Your presence is not a passive occurrence, it's an active force. You carry a frequency that doesn't simply blend into its surroundings, it recalibrates them. This isn't a matter of ego, chosen one, it's a matter of physics and biology. The human body generates an electromagnetic field, with the heart producing the strongest one. Studies by the HeartMath Institute have shown that this field can be measured several feet outside the body, and it carries information about your emotional and mental state. This means that when you enter a space, your energy is not metaphorical. It is literally detectable by the nervous systems of the people around you. Coupled with research on emotional contagion, which demonstrates how humans unconsciously synchronize moods and emotions through facial expressions, voice tone, and body language, it becomes clear. You are physically and psychologically altering the environment you walk into. When you speak your truth, it isn't just sound waves, it's an energetic transmission. People may not consciously analyze your words, but their bodies feel them. Some will lean in, drawn to the authenticity like plants turning towards sunlight, while others will squirm, sensing a disturbance in their carefully maintained illusions. That discomfort happens because truth disrupts the comfortable patterns that systems of control depend on. Whether those systems are political, corporate, religious, or interpersonal, they thrive on predictability and sameness. They rely on people staying numb, distracted, and compliant. But you are not predictable. You are the living embodiment of change, a lightning strike that shatters the monotony of their weather cycle. Your very existence sends a message. It doesn't have to be this way. You are, in every sense, a spiritual alchemist. In ancient traditions, alchemy wasn't merely about turning lead into gold, it was about inner transformation. Lead symbolized heavy, dense, unrefined states of being, while gold represented enlightenment, clarity, and higher consciousness. You do this alchemical work naturally. Someone enters your life burdened by fear or despair, and after a conversation with you, they walk away lighter. Someone else arrives convinced of their own limitations, but after spending time in your energy, a thought flickers in their mind. What if I'm capable of more than I imagined? You do not force this shift. It happens because your frequency destabilizes stagnation and catalyzes growth. And make no mistake, that makes you dangerous, not to people of goodwill, but to the power structures that depend on keeping people asleep. Your light does not simply illuminate, it ignites. When others witness you living unapologetically in your truth, they begin to wonder if they could do the same. This is the spark of the ripple effect, a chain reaction that can't be predicted or contained. Once it starts, it spreads from one awakened soul to another, breaking through barriers and bypassing traditional channels of control. History is filled with moments where a single individual's authenticity set off movements. Whether it was a spiritual leader, a reformer, or even a quiet dissenter whose courage inspired an entire community. The same principle applies to you. Your authenticity is not just a personal choice, it's a contagious force. This is why you will face resistance. There will be those who attempt to diminish your influence, to label you as too intense, too different, or too rebellious. They may try to distract you, exhaust you, or convince you to doubt yourself, but the truth remains, you are not the disruption they fear. You are the evidence that liberation is possible. Systems of control, by their very nature, cannot survive in an environment where too many people awaken to their own power, and you, by simply being who you are, accelerate that awakening. So understand this, your presence is not random, and your impact is not accidental. Every room you enter is subtly transformed, every conversation you have plants seeds, and every act of truth you embody sends out ripples that may reach farther than you will ever know. You are a walking, breathing reminder that freedom, true freedom, does not come from permission or policy, but from an awakened heart and a mind unafraid to see clearly. That's why your presence feels like a change in the weather. Because it is. You are the front line of the storm, and with every step you carry the promise of renewal, the disruption of stagnation, and the undeniable truth that once the spark catches, there is no going back. Point 7. You are aligned with a divine power. Ultimately, the reason you are so dangerous is because you are chosen by God. That's not a cliché. It's a spiritual reality that shakes the foundations of darkness. When you walk into a room, you don't just bring yourself. You carry the presence of the one who sent you. You're not fighting these battles alone. You're backed by the most powerful force in the universe, the creator of heaven and earth. This isn't arrogance, this is alignment. You didn't crown yourself, you were handpicked, commissioned, and equipped for a mission that stretches beyond this lifetime. You've been given spiritual armor, truth as your belt, righteousness as your breastplate, faith as your shield, and the kind of divine assignment that terrifies anything that operates in the shadows. That's why you're such a threat. The opposition you face is not merely against flesh and blood, but against spiritual forces that know exactly who you are. They see the mark on your life, the covering over you, and the fire in your spirit. They're not just fighting you, they're fighting the God within you. And deep down, they know it's a losing battle. They've read the end of the story. They know light wins. Every failed trap, every scheme that backfires, and every attack that doesn't break you only reminds them that their time is running out. You, chosen one, are one of the key players in ushering in a new era. An era built on light, love, and truth. That's why you've been through storms others couldn't survive. That's why you've walked through battles that should have destroyed you, but instead refined you. The intensity of the attack is just confirmation of the importance of your role. So when the opposition grows louder, don't shrink, stand taller. Every dart thrown your way is proof you're on the right track. You are not a victim of this world. You are a conqueror, a living testimony of God's power, and a walking reminder that darkness cannot put out the light. Keep moving forward. The kingdom you carry is unstoppable. Chosen ones, I hope this video has given you a fresh perspective. Your journey is not a mistake. It's a masterpiece in the making. Your trials are not punishments. They are your training. You are not alone. You are divinely protected. Stop seeing yourself as a target and start seeing yourself as a threat to the very darkness that has been trying to hold humanity back. Embrace your spiritual DNA. Use your empathy as a superpower. Trust your intuition. Lead with love. Honor your resilience. Be a catalyst for change. And most importantly, never forget who chose you. This is your awakening. It's time to step fully into your power. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these insights struck a chord with your spirit the most? Your perspective matters because every chosen one's journey carries unique lessons that can inspire others. Drop a comment below and let's build a community where wisdom is shared, not hoarded. If this message has added value to your walk with God, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content designed to strengthen your faith and sharpen your discernment. Remember, chosen ones, the world is full of distractions and illusions. Your job is to remain rooted in truth. History shows us that those who changed the world were often misunderstood at first. Jesus, the prophets, the reformers, yet they stayed true to their calling. So stay awake, stay aware, and stay dangerous, because light always unsettles the darkness. Until next time, keep walking your path with courage and conviction.